Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Well, I would be lying to you if I said this was the conversation I thought I was going to have next on Sports Talk with Broads. Wow, okay, where do we begin? Desean Jackson put some very brutal quotes up on his Instagram, and I will say this, I did see it last night, and I let it breathe all throughout the day today. I did speak about it on 97.3 ESPN on the Sports Bash from 2 to 6 p.m. with Mike Gill. We did break it down all day long, but I wanted to allow it to breathe because I know when things like this happen, the first instinct for people is to say, get rid of this guy. He did something so disgusting, get rid of him, cut him. And I don't necessarily think that that's the way to approach situations when people mess up in society. I'm not talking just about a football player or a professional athlete or somebody high up as a CEO of a company. No. I'm talking about in general, in all of the working fields. It could be someone who works at CVS. It could be someone who works at Taco Bell. If somebody makes a mistake, I personally don't believe that getting rid of that person, firing him instantly is the proper way to handle things. Now, if they take time, they address the situation, they speak to all the parties involved, and then afterwards they realize, okay, I think the best decision moving forward is to get rid of someone, I can stand behind that. But I think that there needs to be an opportunity to hear everybody out to hear out what is exactly going on. Because when I look at Desean Jackson, he doesn't scream as someone who hates the Jewish community and hates Jewish people so much that he had to put quotes out on his Instagram page. He has worked with a ton of Jewish people throughout his career. Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, people inside this organization, a part of the Jewish community. So when I look at this, it seems to me that he did not understand exactly what he was putting out there. Now, that doesn't take away from it being disgusting, terrible, totally disrespectful to a community like the Jewish people, because it absolutely is a problem that he put that out there. But it's not as if this guy truly despises Jewish people and wants them out of the world. It's just clearly he's uneducated. He did not properly truly get what he was saying. And I don't think cutting somebody fixes the issue. Because what happens when someone like Desean Jackson gets cut? Well, it's kind of simple. Another team steps in. They pick him up. And then they move on. The real problem is, and it's crazy that he didn't understand this before, but it is reality. The crazy thing is he didn't properly see that you don't quote someone like Adolf Hitler. So there's a disconnect there that he doesn't get it. The way to fix this is to teach him, not get rid of him. Getting rid of him means nothing. What happens if you get rid of him, he gets picked up from someone else, and then he moves on? Then nothing gets accomplished. What needs to get accomplished is Desean Jackson learning from this, properly getting it. Losing your job, yeah, it might sting. And like I said, for someone like Desean Jackson, he'll find another job. What really needs to be taught here is he needs to be learned a lesson and learn what the Jewish community is all about, to learn what they went through when it comes to the Holocaust, the whole entire Adolf Hitler situation, their entire background as a society. He needs to learn that. That's what you do. And the Eagles they can fine him, they can suspend him, they can move forward where he painfully learns a lesson and gets punishment from the team, but stays on the team as well. And I think that is the way to handle this situation. Now, before we dive deeper into it, this episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, they are home to your solar experts. Their solar program helps eliminate your electric bill completely. We are talking $0 electric bills. That's not all. They provide water purification systems, clean, healthy water for your family, tree removals, battery storage, backup energy services, and more. Visit them online. Their information is in the description and their phone number. Orbit Energy and Power. Phenomenal. They can totally upgrade your homes easily and beautifully and perfectly. Check out their information. So I don't think that Desean Jackson hates this group of people. Just not properly educated on everything that has happened in the past, in history, and with what happened all around with the Jewish community. And it's a shame, right? You would think that someone in their mid-30s would understand you don't quote Adolf Hitler, but that's the point I'm trying to make. It's scary that he doesn't know that, but I think he needs to learn that. And he has given a couple different variety of apologies, and some of them not really so sincere. You didn't really feel the connection. He did put out on his notes, he tweeted out, he took a screenshot of his notes on his iPhone and said he will do what he needs to learn. He will make sure that he goes out in the community and properly understands moving forward, and he wants to be educated on this. And if he goes through that type of situation where he's working with the Jewish community, he's working with Jewish people out there, he's going to events that teach him exactly what happened in the past and what needs to happen moving forward, well, then I think he's doing the proper thing. Here's what I do trust. I do trust Howie Roseman, and I do trust Jeffrey Lurie during this situation because they are impacted. They are the ones that are at pain when reading that Instagram post. They are feeling it. That's the type of people that Desean Jackson hurt. And I know that they're close. I know that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman has a certain relationship with Desean Jackson. So I'm sure they were stunned, shocked, right? I mean, they were totally confused. Like, are you serious? But there is a relationship there where they are good people together. They trust one another in terms of people. So when you do see something from someone that you trust in and believe in, and you're like, really? Really? You did that? I feel as if there's a respectful conversation after that, that instead of a reactionary, get out of here, get out of this town, get out of this city, it's more like, okay, how do we address this properly? What do we do to make sure that you don't make this mistake again, that you understand what's going on here in the community that you kind of disrespected, not kind of, did disrespect, and from there, you move on. But I do not believe the cutting is the answer. I know Riley Cooper has been brought up so much today, and I don't think it's fair to compare what happened to Riley Cooper to this. I don't think comparing this to another situation is fair. When you're talking about all of these scenarios where somebody makes a mistake, they don't all relate to one another. So this is its own problem. Riley Cooper's situation, its own problem. Another scenario out there where somebody put something up on social media and got absolutely destroyed. Its own scenario. So I don't think, well, because they did this with Riley Cooper, that means they have to do this. Or if they do this to Desean Jackson, that's contradicting itself from what happened in the past. It's 2020 now. Things have absolutely changed, no doubt about it. So to just pretend like context doesn't matter, like the year doesn't matter, well, that's not reality. The year does matter. How society has changed definitely matters. So punishments are totally different throughout the years, throughout the decades, throughout time. I don't think, though, that because 2020 would tell you to just totally cut this guy and move forward. I think the Eagles need to move in another direction outside of that. But my point is, it doesn't all relate. These are all so different. They're all so unique. They do not really come together, and because this happened in this scenario, that automatically means that an answer is already given for something else that happens. I'm sorry, I totally do not see it this way. And Adam Schefter did tweet something out that was pretty interesting. He was kind of discussing the money side of things and the guaranteed contract. And is this possible that there's an out when it comes to the Eagles and the guaranteed money? And I don't look at Desean Jackson's contract as some contract that they can't get out of, right? It would be a different conversation if Desean Jackson had this huge monster contract and the Eagles were so questioning if they can move forward with this guy, if this is someone that they can trust, and if they're going to get abused by this hefty contract, how is it possible to keep someone like Djax? I don't see this contract as so overwhelming that they're not going to be able to move forward with it. So with that being said, I don't think that it's realistic to look at the money side of things. But I do question the fact that it's coming from Adam Schefter. Is he hearing things? We know he's very dialed into this league. Is he hearing something from the Eagles organization? Is he hearing something from somebody else around the league going, well, if we were the Eagles, this is how we would look at it. And from there, it sparked his brain. Or did he just look at the contract and go, oh, let's just take a look and see how it's displayed? I don't know. But because it's coming from Adam Schefter, I do question just a little bit how much stock that I should put in it. Should I put in more? Because it is coming from Adam Schefter. Like, there's a reason why he is the one putting this out. But once again, I don't look at this contract as so overwhelming and scary that I don't know how the Eagles are going to move forward. If it was, let's just say, something like Al Horford's contract, where we sit here every day and question, how the hell are we going to get out of this? Then I think that you can totally be in play with that more so than what's going on now in this scenario. He actually quoted Adolf Hitler. I know. It's absolutely ridiculous. You had Joel Embiid speak today, Furkan Korkmaz, Shake Milton, and I wanted to get into the Sixers because I knew that they were going to speak via Zoom, and I get hit with Adolf Hitler quotes from Desean Jackson. 2020 is something else. I'll tell you what. You wake up every day and something else is happening. It started out with the death of Kobe Bryant, which totally ripped my heart out. Then we have to quarantine because of COVID-19. Sports get shut down. It's unbelievable that we are sitting in this situation. We got to wear masks every single day. And now I'm sitting here speaking about Desean Jackson quoting Adolf Hitler. You would think that people would know by now that that is something you don't really associate with. Which then brings up the point of, just because he did this doesn't mean he deserves to lose his job. What it tells me is he needs to properly be educated, because it's so obvious you don't go down that road. You don't go down that road. You don't associate anything with Adolf Hitler, right? You just don't associate with it. So the fact that he didn't see it, that tells me he needs to learn. Not just get kicked to the curb and then not be informed about anything. And I saw a bunch of reactions to when Mike Gill and I were talking about this on 97.3 ESPN today on the Sports Bash, which you can catch us from 2 to 6 p.m. There is a free mobile app, by the way, 97.3 ESPN, so you can tune in. And there's a podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You just search the Sports Bash with Mike Gill and Hunter Brody, and we pop up. But I digress. There was some reaction, like, he's mid-30s. You're telling me you got to baby this guy and teach him what it's all about? He should know better. Well, I mean, come on. That's just a screaming fan. That's like, if you made a mistake, that specific person who texted into the text board and said that, if you made a mistake, then I look at you and go, well, you should have known that. It's not fair to just assume that everybody should know everything. People are grown up in so many different areas of the world and so many different spots, and some people are fortunate, some people are unfortunate. You can't just assume that everybody knows the same thing that you do. And in this case, yeah, you would think that he would know that, but apparently he did not know that. He did not know that. So what do you want to do? If someone doesn't know something, you just totally just leave them out there to dry? I don't get that. That's not to make an excuse for him. That's not to say what he did doesn't deserve punishment. That's not to say what he did wasn't so disgusting, because it's all of those things. It does deserve punishment. You can punish Desean Jackson, fine him, suspend him. You can punish him. You can force him to go to specific events in the Jewish community. You can do all of that. You can force him to use his platform to keep speaking. You can do that. And it's not really forcing him. It's allowing him to preach that he is learning. But you can utilize all of that and still keep him on the team. Now, I do question, because this is how sports works. It's reality. Sadly, it's reality. Does his talent come into play? And you know what? Keep it real. Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. Should it? Realistically, the answer is no. But in pro sports, this is a business. You got to keep your fans happy. How do you keep your fans happy? You keep the talent on the field. You got to have good talent to succeed. When you succeed, your fans are happy. When your fans are happy, they go to the games. When they go to the games, the owners make money. The thing is, and you can't throw this away, The ownership is part of the people that he hurt and made feel terrible. He targeted the ownership and the GM. So I feel like that plays a major role into this conversation. Because if he made fun of, or if he quoted, or if he did something so terrible to a group of individuals, and the ownership wasn't impacted by that, it totally changes things. Like, I truthfully believe in Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman because I know how upset they must be, because they feel the pain, because they are a part of this. And because they are a part of this, I really do believe that they are going to come down firm with what they believe is right. And the Eagles made a statement essentially saying, we got to assess this situation. And I think that they came out with a really good statement on their part. And I questioned how Desean Jackson put out his original statements. It did not feel sincere, but I do think that it's a lot easier said than done. When you are going through such an emotional time, you're getting destroyed on social media, you are just so stressed out. You're getting phone calls left and right. You got to make a statement. It's not going to come out as easy as you might think it would be. And this is not an excuse. I am just giving you reality as human emotions kick in when you have to make such a statement. He should have never done it. It's that simple. You never put something up like that. You don't got to put yourself in that position. This is part of it. I totally understand that. But just talking about what Desean Jackson did for his apologies, I think it could have been a lot better through the first time around. But it is what it is at this point. I want to go back to the talent thing. My personal opinion, should talent matter? No. No, it should not matter. Does talent matter? Reality, yes. And if this is a player who's coming off of the undrafted rookie class or whatever, if he's coming out of some sort of free agency where he's at the bottom of the wide receiver room and he says a statement like this and he puts it out on Instagram, chances are he's no longer here. That is probably reality. That is how this goes down in the league. But because there has been a past relationship between the Eagles ownership and Desean Jackson, because they do know each other well, and because they have had history together, you kind of get the benefit of the doubt of at least having a conversation. If this is Joe Schmo on this practice squad, you don't even get an opportunity to go into that office and really have this type of conversation. It's more like, hey, your bags are packed. I'll see you later. Thanks for coming through the Eagles organization, and you move on. But because it's Desean Jackson, because he's arguably the most important player on this offense outside of Carson Wentz, he does get a benefit of the doubt, and I think that does play a role in how Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie move forward with this decision. But it is possible he is cut. You know what? It is possible that it hurt them so bad that they go, I can't look at you the same way. I can't look at you the same way. I can't move forward. You really hurt us, and we think the proper decision is to move on and cut you. And that is possible. That is in play. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Because I think that this team, this organization looks at Carson Wentz, looks at Doug Peterson, looks at week one. That's right, only week one. That's all we have to look at. And they look at week one and go, damn, if he can be implemented with Jalen Reagor and Miles Sanders and Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, then, oh boy, we can totally do some damage. Considering that all these coaches in the NFC East, they're fresh except for Doug Peterson. So here's an opportunity. Do they value their chances or their belief in this team when it comes to making this type of decision? Should they? Should they not? It is a very wild thing that we are here discussing. And I did see it last night. It was so late. I didn't put two and two together. I woke up and boom, we're talking national story. You go to ESPN.com, first story, over Pat Mahomes' $500 million contract. You go to ESPN. They show the flashing Sports Center sign and they fade into the show. Before Pat Mahomes' $500 million contract, they're talking about what Desean Jackson did. It's all over the place. And in the new world that we live in today, which is, it's all over the place, no doubt about it. I am against the philosophy of if you make a mistake, you deserve to lose everything. How do you expect to grow? How do you expect to mature? I did things when I was 15. I'm 25 now. Guess what? I look back at those things when I was 15. I'm like, damn, I really did that. I was young. I was stupid. I was immature. I didn't know what I was really doing. I didn't really understand that. Now, then the age of Desean Jackson comes in, and something similar to what other people said to me. He's 33. Is it our job to teach him? Look, not everybody knows everything, and clearly he did not know exactly what he was putting out there. He's not knowledgeable of these quotes, obviously. So age doesn't matter to me. Age doesn't matter. There's people who are 38 who don't know things that 22-year-olds know. So be it. You got to learn. You got to develop. You got to adapt. It's kind of crazy that this cancel culture that we live in today, who support people for everything that they want to be, who they want to look like, what they want to do when it comes to workforce. I mean, everything. These people who are part of the cancel culture, the ones that are willing to give everybody that open door, are the first ones that just want to rip people apart and destroy them when they make the mistake. I am totally open to allowing people to learn, to allow people to truly look at it from a different way without just destroying their life totally. So yeah, essentially what I'm getting at here is I'm okay with giving people chances. It's not like Desean Jackson has this huge history of hating people, hating Jewish community, and hating a bunch of people around the league and outside the sport. He doesn't have that type of background. There was a brutal speculation back in the day about gangs and all that. Stop. It's not the same. I'm for keeping Desean Jackson. I'm for suspending him, fining him, but I'm for keeping him. Now, I know a bunch of people that are Jewish, and I hear them out, and they're hurt, and they really, really, really are devastated with what he did, what he said, what he put out there. And by all means, you are entitled to be that upset about it, no doubt. And for the people who want to cut him, you are entitled to want to cut him, no doubt. You are entitled to that opinion. Absolutely. I just look at it in a different direction. But going back to the Jewish people that I know, I know for a fact it's so fresh that people who I know that are diehard Eagles fans, they don't know how to feel because they don't think that they can properly root and support Desean Jackson running down the sidelines in that Eagles uniform if he's catching a touchdown because what he said hurt them that much. And by all means, you are allowed to feel that way if it hurt you to that degree. No doubt about it. I'm not saying you're not allowed to feel that way. Of course. What he said was hurtful. What he said was disgraceful. But don't you want people to then learn from this, not do it again? Instead of just saying, you know what, you deserve to lose your job. You deserve to not play here in Philadelphia. You deserve to kick rocks. We don't care if you really properly understand. Just get out of here. What does that do? I don't see what that does other than just totally destroy a human being. I want people to adapt. I want him to properly get it. And I think he will. Because I trust Howie and I trust Jeffrey Lurie. And we'll see. My gut feeling tells me he's not getting kicked off this football team. But that doesn't mean he isn't. There is a chance, of course. Only time will tell. It's a crazy topic. And I really am interested to hear everybody's thoughts. I am respectful to what others think. If you are on the mindset of, I don't want to see him here in Philadelphia anymore, okay, I respect it. I'm not here to fight anyone. I get it. It's on that level of that line. I mean, it's on that line of get rid of him. But it's also on that line of you can keep him too. It's really tough. And I think if you have 100 owners, you're getting 50 one way, 50 the other. It's that close. So I get it. But this is just the way I see it. I'm not all about cancel culture. I can get, not that I support, not that I don't think it's rude, terrible, pathetic. Because I do. But I can understand how someone makes a mistake and why teaching that person is the better option or a logical option. The way I would approach it. Let me know your thoughts. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you can use the review system as a comment section. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, of course, you know where the comment section is. Remember, this episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. Their solar program helps eliminate your electric bill completely. We are talking about $0 electric bills. That's not all. They can also provide water purification systems, clean, healthy water for your family. It's a huge difference. Tree removals, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. They do it all. Their information is in the description. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.